Back here on HQ, now the Texans have won the AFC South the last 2 seasons. DeMeco Ryans and CJ Stroud have never not been to the playoffs as a head coach and quarterback duo. But if they want to get back there, they surely have some work to do. The Texans off to an 0-2 start to the season, losing to the Rams in week 1 and then losing an absolute heartbreaker to the Bucs in week 2. Now, regardless, CJ Stroud still has confidence in his team despite the slow start.
I know what type of team we are. We're very close. If we don't make a couple mistakes in the fourth quarter in the Rams game and this past game, everybody's smiling and saying how great we are.
All right, let's welcome back Renner and Breech. Guys, great to see you again. The Texans trying to get back on track here after an 0-2 start to the season. CJ Stroud is saying, hey, if we don't make a little mistake here and there, certainly would be different. What is your confidence level here, Mike, in the Texans to be able to go and correct those problems and learn from them against this Jags squad?
It's extremely low. It's because it's a talent problem. It starts up front with that offensive line, and everyone talked about it after the Laramie Tunsil trade. Everyone knew this was going to be an issue. And now CJ Stroud, after being under pressure on 38% of his dropbacks last year, it's been 41% through the first 2 weeks of the season. It's gotten even worse, and it's just unsustainable now going up against a Jaguars defensive line that sends it from all angles. I mean, they just knocked Joe Burrow out for the season last week, and that's the risk you're running now with CJ Stroud is injury because he's taking so many hits. And when you're subjecting your quarterback to that much fire, you're just not going to be consistent offensively. So, yeah, it's a very low confidence level in this Texans offense finding him.
Now, I'm on the same page as Mike here. I have almost no confidence that they're going to be able to fix it. And I understand what the Texans' line of thinking was going into the offseason. CJ Stroud took the second most sacks in the NFL last season. So they're thinking, let's blow things up and start over because it can't possibly be any worse than last year. Well, guess what? As Mike just said, it is now worse than last year because CJ Stroud is getting pressured at a higher rate than he was last season. You look at that offensive line, it's made up of 4 of the 5 starters didn't play for the Houston Texans last year. You've got a rookie. You've got 3 free agent signings from this past offseason. So you've got guys that haven't ever really played together, and it's not working. And so maybe they fix it. Maybe the chemistry starts working in a couple weeks, maybe a month. But it's hard to see this offense. There's no quick fix. I don't think it's going to happen in the next couple weeks. So this could be the rest of the month could be a long one for the Texans.
And Breech, your impact player to watch is CJ Stroud, but really, what can he do and how can he improve given the offensive line situation that is put quite literally in front of him?
Yeah, this is a huge issue. You also have a new offensive coordinator, Nick Caley, who's trying to work his way around all of these issues. And one way you could potentially try to fix this is that you kind of lean on your rushing attack and hope that your offensive line can just, hey, we're not blocking so well, we're not protecting him in the passing game, but maybe we can do a little better in the running game. But the Texans' leading rusher is Nick Chubb. So you're talking about, it's not that Nick Chubb isn't a good running back, but he certainly lost a step from his Browns days. So you can't really lean on that rushing attack. You have to lean on CJ Stroud. And if he doesn't have time to throw, then this offense can't do anything. We saw it in week 1. They only put up 9 points. They really struggled against the Buccaneers in week 2, and things are not going to get any easier against Jacksonville this week. So it's going to be on CJ Stroud to get the ball out faster, be more decisive, make faster decisions. That's about the only thing they could do at this point. So Stroud's going to have to do that. This team's going to turn things around.
Yeah, I think the path to Stroud taking a next step or improving or looking like the guy he did as a rookie is one of his receivers stepping up. And to me, Jaden Higgins has to be that guy. They draft him at the top of the second round for a reason. He was their first pick in this draft, but unfortunately, he's kind of been third fiddle in this offense. But that's going to change now with the injury to Justin Watson, him going on IR. Higgins has to fill those shoes and fill them well. He better be ready because teams are figuring out that Nico Collins is the only weapon that CJ Stroud trusts in this offense. It's why the numbers thrown to Nico Collins have been so bad this year, is because he's seeing so much attention from opposing defenses. When that's the case, someone else has to win their one-on-ones. It better be Jaden Higgins. That's why you drafted him as highly as you did.
Speaking of drafting players highly, the Jags traded up and went and got Travis Hunter, which is why he is obviously a huge topic of conversation amongst folks here, not only in Jacksonville, but beyond, right? And the question is, how do you best use him? Because we saw the snaps on defense really increase against the Bengals when we compare it against the Panthers. But Mike, how should they use him? Because he's not overly productive on either side really just yet. So what do you think the best utilization of Travis Hunter is?
I love the week-to-week game planning of him. I think he's such a unique chess piece that, when you face a team with two great wide receivers like you did last week, use him on the defensive side of the ball. And truthfully, he should have made what was the game-winning pass breakup in that game. Got flagged for pass interference, and it was a disastrously awful call. And that's the type of plays that he can make and why you drafted him as highly as you did. But I think it's week to week. This week, you only have one wide receiver you really have to care about. You got Tyson Campbell, so use him on offense. Try to score as many points as you can against this Texans secondary. So I think week to week game planning is your best usage of him because matchups matter so much in today's NFL.
Yeah, I do agree with Mike there. I got to see Travis Hunter play. I was in Cincinnati for that game, and he did hold his own on the defensive side of the ball. He only got to play 6 snaps in week 1. Then they said, all right, buddy, we're going to throw you in the deep end of the water, and you got to deal with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And he actually played pretty well, except for that controversial pass interference call at the end of the game. So if I'm the Jags, I do it week to week, but I think more with one side of the ball. So in that Bengals game, you say, all right, you know what? We're really going to limit your offensive snaps today, and we're going to play you heavy on defense. I'm not trying to split up his reps. I'm going to let him keep being the two-way guy he wants to be, but maybe emphasizing one side of the ball each week. So again, this week, maybe they don't need him as a cornerback, so you give him more receiving snaps. So I think the week-to-week matchups make sense, but just focus on one side of the ball each week.
All right, let's get to the impact players to watch for Jacksonville. Both of you guys are looking at the defense. Mike, I know you're the analytics guy, but I got to check my notes. The Jags with a league-high 6 takeaways through 2 games, and then I wrote LFG. We know what that means. Who's your impact player to watch, Mike?
It's Tyson Campbell because he is their number 1 cornerback. And unfortunately, when they tried to use him like that last week and have him go mano-a-mano against those Bengals receivers, he allowed 2 touchdowns and was a big reason why they ended up losing that game. But they're going to use him against Nico Collins in the same manner this week. Now, maybe they give him some help with the safety over the top because, as we said before, there's really not a number 2 option that solidified himself there for the Houston Texans. But he needs to hold his own against Nico Collins because if he can do that, if you can trust him against Nico Collins, that makes everything else. That makes your life so much easier in terms of the blitzes you can run, in terms of the coverages you can run if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars. So it's Tyson Campbell having himself a day. That's going to be key to the Jaguars winning this game.
Yeah, and I'm also on the defensive side of the ball with Travon Walker. Let's look at the former number 1 overall pick. It seems like he's had a quiet career, but he's been really good over the past few years. He's racked up 10 sacks in each of the past 2 seasons. So he has really come along. And we talked a little bit earlier about how much the Texans' offensive line has been struggling. Well, this is the perfect game to rack up a few more sacks. So if the Jaguars pass rush, and that's Walker, that's Joshua Hines-Allen, if they get after C.J. Stroud, it is going to be a long day for the Texans offense. Stroud got sacked 3 times in week 1, 3 times in week 2. Since the beginning of last season, the Texans are 3-8 when he gets sacked at least 3 times in a game. So it just kind of blows up their whole offensive game plan. So if Walker, Hines-Allen both play well, this is a game Jacksonville can steal.
All right, with that, let's get into the game prediction. I think I know where you're going, Breech. But with the Texans, do you see them getting their first win here, or is it an 0-3 start to the season for Houston?
Until I see the Texans offense turn things around, I can't trust them. So I actually like Jacksonville this game. I think it's going to be close. So I'm going to take them 22-19. I think their defense beats up on Houston's offense.
Yeah, I think Jacksonville wins this game as well. Houston's just not built to score points right now, and I think Jacksonville is. I think you saw Tampa run the ball very effectively against Houston last week. I think the Jags, with their newfound running game under Liam Cohen, do the same thing, move the ball down the field a little bit, but I think it's low scoring. At the end of the day, I'm going to say 21-18 Jaguars.
All right, I'm also going with the Jaguars because the Prowlers are back, and good things happen when they wear the Prowlers. All right, guys, we appreciate it. Texans-Jags preview with us here on HQ. That is Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. We got a loaded slate for you on CBS. Also in that 1 o'clock window, the Bengals and the Vikings. No Burrow, no J.J. McCarthy, but we do get to see Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. And then at 4:05 Eastern, the Broncos and the Chargers, as well as the Saints and the Seahawks. And you can stream all the action on Paramount Plus as well.